the paramotor and tools of the trade, now on the Hobby Channel. Hello everybody and welcome to the Hobby Channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today I'm going to be going over some of the equipment that I use to fly, perhaps some of the stuff I want to get into the future, and I'm going to be going over a couple individual pieces I got here and the motor itself. So let's get into it. I started putting it all together and I was just amazed at how awesome the Parajet Maverick machine itself is. It's like a slick, clean, that has that industrial look to it. It's kind of like has that race car look. I really love the Parajet Maverick, and I of course have the traditional blue that most people have. Seems to be the most common color scheme. So yeah, after getting the wing and the paramotor in the mail and putting it all together and starting to fly for the first few times, I took an injury to my knee. It's a reoccurring injury that I've had over the years, but I basically realized that I was pretty much out of the foot launching arena. If it's really windy, maybe in the future, I might sneak in a foot launch or two here and there down the road, but for now I am strictly trike bound, trying to save my knees. I gotta work and still make a living and whatnot, but that's what led me to get the trike. That is the Air One Pro trike. It's pretty good for what it does. Gets you up in the air. I really like that it has a foot brake up here, and the ease of disassembly and reassembly in the field is pretty key and important. Kind of goes right along with the Parajet Maverick, and the Parajet Maverick being able to take all this apart and put it back together in 10 minutes or so is pretty cool. That you can pack it up and carry it in a small vehicle. I can fit the trike and the motor in its box with my wing in a small two-door car, so I'm pretty happy about that. So a couple things about the Parajet Maverick, just to point out some specifics about what I have on here as well, is the Moster 185 engine. That's 185 cc's, comes out to about 25 horsepower. There's a 10-liter gas tank. It takes two-stroke gas. That means oil and gas are mixed together beforehand and then poured into the tank. I have the E-Props carbon propeller. Another little side piece of equipment that is essential if you plan on flying anywhere towards the darker part of the sunset hour is a strobe. Anytime after sunset or before sunrise, you are required to fly with this strobe on, and I believe the FAA law says it's supposed to be a 3-mile strobe. This is specifically made for paramotors. It fits perfectly to the cage air. As you can see, it's really bright. A little addition that helps me, and that is not necessarily required, but something you definitely want to have on here, is the string supports on the hoop. This is just a piece of gas line that is cut and zip tied onto here, and the lines sit on top in between the hoop and the gas line. That way they're not dragging on the ground or on your tires, and you line them up so that you can put your A's on top, and it just helps with a nice smooth inflation. And so far on this trike, my very first flight when I was learning, before I ever left the ground the first time with the trike, I had 2 failed inflations, and then once I hit that third inflation, it kind of clicked, and I was like, okay, I get it. And that was it. I've been really lucky so far. I have 13 trike flights, and I have not blown any of my launches yet, although I probably will now that I've said that. If I do, I will mention something about it in a later YouTube episode if and when that happens, which inevitably it will. So over the course of the last year, I have learned kind of what you need and what you don't need in terms of, what do you want to have with you when you're flying. Definitely, if you're thinking about anything with water, you want to have your flotation, and typically, if you're going to be flying around really populated in terms of air population, like a lot of other pilots, you would want to have a reserve. Or if you're planning on doing anything that is borderline sketchy, which might cause you to get in trouble, definitely want to be carrying your reserve. So one of the things that I realized was something that I needed was a quick access chest pouch, and that's what I have here. This is my chest rig, and basically I just put it on and it has the flap on top that opens up, and I can put my phone, or I put my microphone in there that I hook up and I use to record audio, and anything else that I might want on hand while I'm flying goes kind of right up in here. Plus, I also like to carry like a small knife, a small flashlight, a hook knife for my lines. That all goes up in here in the chest pouch. Also, if you wanted to, you could put some food in there. You also have the storage pouch on the side where you can put food and water. Over here in this pocket, stuff that I realized I wanted to carry with me pretty much all the time was the basic essentials tools wise to break down the whole motor from start to finish. Try to carry gloves. You never know, like if you go out and it's not windy and you're like, I don't need gloves, but then you go out and you forget your gloves on a windy day and you're like, I kind of wish I had my gloves, just in case I need to grab some lines, which I have been burned by before. Good to just carry them in the pocket of the motor there. Under the seat here is where I would store this bag, and this bag is the the paraglider wing stuff sack. It's smaller and lightweight so that it'll fit in the seat. The big backpack with the straps is nice. It's convenient. It's really quick to load your wing up, but it does not fit in the pocket under the seat. When it comes to gear that you want to carry with you or don't want to carry with you, reserve, no reserve, flotation, no flotation, bare bones, or wired with gear to the brim, it just really depends on the individual who's flying. There's all kinds of different styles of flyers. Some people never fly more than 15 to 30 minutes at a time. They just go up, they have their fun, they come down, they land. They don't really do any adventure flying. They don't, venture too far from where they took off from, and they just do casual flying most of the time, which actually is typically everybody during certain points of your flying career. So you don't necessarily always need everything that you have, and then sometimes if you're going to want to go on a long trip with your motor, it just depends. You want to create your loadout depending on what your mission for that flight is. So my wing is the Bruce Goldsmith design Magic. It's a medium-sized 23 meter, and I personally love the Magic. Where I was, I was probably average speed with beginner wing, not very fast at all. But adding the Trike and getting me closer to that maximum wing loading certainly has increased my speed significantly. So she's pretty fast now with the Trike and the extra weight, and I also gained like 20 pounds. So on top of all that, it's a pretty fast wing for beginner. I'm happy with it. I like flying around with it. Anyways. So the next piece of gear I have is my helmet, and that's here. That's the Icaro Solar X PPG helmet, and I did a custom paint job on it myself with the turquoise blue here, and I put my call sign on there. Gimbal is a call sign that was given to me by my instructors because I was always running around with the gimbal doing filming and trying to be a paramotor filmmaker while I was going through to school. So they kind of were always joking with me about that. So the name kind of stuck. I liked it, and so I put it on the helmet. So that's my helmet. It has the Cena 10R comms system. That's typically what you see on a motorcycle helmet. Those guys are kind of like the pioneers, I would say, of helmet communications. So the last piece of gear that also varies style-wise, pilot to pilot, is your clothing. I always wear pants and boots. I always want to make sure I'm prepared for, wherever I might have an engine out. Even if it's relatively close to the field where I'm flying, you could still encounter, say, a tree where, you might want to have some brush protection or something like that. So I always fly with pants. If you know you're going to go up higher than 3,000 feet, you probably want to put on like at least a light jacket, maybe some gloves. If you go up any higher than, say, 5,000 feet, now you're definitely going to want some colder weather gear and to plan those flights out ahead of time. So clothing is the last piece of equipment on the list of stuff that I currently have that goes into flying. So basically, I just wanted you guys to get a more in-depth look at what I use to fly, and another little behind-the-scenes video, if you will. And I hope you learned something, maybe about paragliding, or if it answered a question you might have had. Also, perhaps this, piqued your curiosity on paramotors and everything there is about flying. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next time. I will definitely have more gear that I will be accumulating over time, I'm sure. So as the years go on, I'm sure I'll do another paramotor gear review video with some new equipment. Perhaps a new motor down the road, who knows. So thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next episode.